Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. All right. Welcome to an MSU's News program. And yes, we are much different than other patient advocacy organizations out there. We are providing something that they are not providing, and that is these types of formats. This is my third program this week, so we're heading strong down the road this week. We want to thank those that support what we are doing, okay? And like today's program, we want to thank Celgene. All right, Celgene is a pharmaceutical company. They do not yet have an MS medication on the market, so they don't have anybody here to exhibit, but we all should, support, give them thanks for what they are doing, okay? Thank you. Additionally, we had some exhibitors here today. Mallinckrodt was supposed to be here. They got caught up in all this traffic. All right. Biogen was here, EMD Serono, and Genentech. And I want to thank them for helping out at today's program, too. Thank you. All right. For those that don't know me, well, I guess you haven't been around long enough. My name is Stuart Schlossman. I, too, have MS. We could talk about that another time. Today, we have 3 speakers, and we want to get started. All right. So our first is Jeffrey Segal. And Jeffrey is going to be speaking for 35 minutes, and he's going to do 10 minutes of Q&A. Jeffrey's the recipient of the 2007 National Strength and Conditioning Association Personal Trainer of the Year Award. Yay, Jeffrey! Jeffrey has written articles for numerous MS publications, in addition to others, such as Shape Magazine. He's the owner of Balance Personal Training, Inc. since 2004. He's a national motivational and educational speaker. He's a graduate of Florida State University. Wow. Yay for some, boo for others. I got it. We're in Miami. All right. And Jeffrey's been living with multiple sclerosis since 1998. Let's welcome Jeff. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? It's great to be the first speaker, so if you guys fall asleep, it's my fault and I'm out of here. First off, if I offend anybody in the room, please just raise your hand, let me know, because we're a tight group, right? So if I offend one of you and I'm leaving everybody else out, I'll make sure to offend everybody else very quickly. Just to get past your curiosity of what I'm going to be speaking about. It's about exercise, health, wellness, all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that you guys like to veer off of. So I'm going to try to reel you back in. What we want is peace of mind when it comes to working with MS and our illness and whatever else. But what I want you to do is open your eyes up to everything else. The big picture is you have MS, but it's not holding you back, and you're able to move. If you look up at the clouds, they're moving, right? If you go to the beach, you look at the water, it's moving. Everything that's moving has energy. So if you don't move, what are you going to lack? You're going to lack energy. So you want to be the very best you can possibly be at all times. And if you have problems and issues that are, say, from MS or from anything, if you're mentally in the environment that you were that got you sick, it's going to be the most difficult place to get better. Can we agree on that? So mentally and physically, you got to be on the same page. And when it comes to diet and exercise, I can't tell you how important it is to eat clean and eat good foods that are good for you, not just tasty. Because the worst foods out there, unfortunately, taste phenomenal, which is why you got to have them in moderation. Otherwise, this program would be about heart disease and not MS. And I'm not here to talk about heart disease. And I hope I don't have to talk about heart disease at any time. But if you're somebody who wakes up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror and what you see is your belly and not your smile, you ought to be looking at your belly when you're sitting at the dinner table too. Because what you put in you is what you're made of, and that's how you exercise, that's how you live. And that's how you're gonna prosper. If you're eating bad foods, you're creating a bad being. It's simple as that. So how many people in here know what a bad food is? Okay, so just eliminate that and you got nothing but good food left. That's it. Everybody wants to know, what's the secret? What's the best exercise? Do you know what the best exercise is if you have MS? Same as if you don't have MS. The first one you do. Whatever it is. The very first one, because there's not a second one without the first. So when you were diagnosed, were you told to move more, to exercise? Raise your hand if you were. I wasn't. So nobody in the room was told to move more? Come on. I want to know who your doctors are. If they're in the room, I'm going to have them say it louder. If you don't move, you won't be able to move. Yeah. So you got to move more, always. And you're able to. Yeah. Especially you. I have trouble standing behind a podium. I feel like I'm in prison when I'm behind a podium. So I'm going to be moving around the podium, going back and forth just to make the video guy lose his mind. Can I move?
I don't see you.
You don't see me? And now do you see me?
Yeah, I see.
Now do you see me?
No, I don't.
All right. See, it's magic. So if I had an hour to live, what would I do with that hour? What would you do with that hour?
Enjoy yourself.
I'd go to chemistry class, because that went by so slow. That's where I want to be, right? Then the hour would drag on forever. So in order to maintain your health and be able to move and do all that stuff, you got to go back to the basics. Don't go back to when you were the best you were ever. That's not the place to be. It'd be great to get there, but in order to get there, you got to work hard. And if you don't work hard, don't expect good results. How many people in here don't go places because they just don't feel comfortable because they're not the way they used to be, or they are? That's everybody in the world. That's everybody. I mean, everybody at some point, unless you're at the very height of what you're doing, which you wouldn't be listening to this because you'd be out doing something, but everybody's had a best. And when you remember how your life went by, if you're going to do something new, you think about where you were at your very best. When you think back, I want you to think about accomplishments, but not just accomplishments. I want you to think what got these things accomplished. The work that you put into that. I guarantee you at some point in your life you exercised. If not, you failed PE. I don't even think phys ed coaches can write an F. When I was a kid they couldn't. Now they probably can, for the 2 people that take it. It's terrible. They should have more people that take phys ed. Anyone in here know what PE stands for? These days they don't. Physical education. I think that if they called it recess all the way through high school, it'd be a little bit more popular. It's much more popular because it sounds better. It's just like exercise. Exercise is not a very, it's not a helpful word when you're trying to get someone to do something, because then they feel like they have work to do. Well, yeah, it is work. So is cooking, so is eating, so is talking. And, that's one of those things that hard work means good results. It's always that way. And exercise is something that when you start out doing it, it's just walking, getting up from crawling. I know, yeah. And please, I'm going to have some Q&A at the end, and save your words for the Q&A. I'd be happy to answer your questions. So write them down so you don't forget them, because I'm very forgetful and I'm not quite sure what I was just saying, but if you remember, write stuff down. So exercise will be broken down into a few different types. There's cardiovascular exercise, there's strength training, there's aerobic exercise and cardiovascular go hand in hand. I'll explain the difference in a little bit. But resistance exercise builds muscle, aerobic exercise builds endurance. You can combine the two and have the best of both worlds. What I like to do with people that I work with is work with lower body followed by upper body. How many of you work out, and while you're working out, you're doing an exercise and you just tire out? Whether it be legs or upper body. If your legs tire out, you know what the best thing to do is? Same thing as anything when you're really tired. Rest. Rest your legs, use your arms. And when your arms get tired, rest your arms, use your legs. It's a simple equation, because with MS what happens is your muscles and your nerves aren't on the same page. They are up until a certain point. But when that happens and they tire out, your muscles aren't going to get the job done. Your nerves are already tired. So that's when you're going to take a step and your leg just doesn't want to move. So you rest a little bit. Doesn't mean you stop. Doesn't mean you stop moving or stop what you're going to do or stop what your goal is. One of the big things is setting goals. How many people in here set goals? How many people in here keep going towards their goals? Yeah. If you don't, you're going to lose track of where you're going. If you keep track of what your goals are and you keep the end result, the goal, then you'll find a way. If not, you'll look for an excuse. It's easy to look for an excuse. It's more enjoyable to find a way because you'll end up doing a lot more with your life. And if you look back at the last 10 years and you're not happy with it, guess what? You got another 10 years ahead of you that you can work on starting right now. And that's the most important thing, is knowing about right now. Right now is when everything gets done. Everything that's done happens now. Yeah. Keep your thoughts to yourself, please. I'd appreciate that because everybody here is trying to listen, and we're all agreeing or disagreeing. So today, this is a phenomenal place. I mean, I was outside looking at planes taking off. I think they used to have headsets where you can hear the, they still have them?
Another room.
The room? Okay. After I'm done, I'll go and check it out. But not yet. How many people in here, this is Miami, so have heat sensitivity? I don't have much heat sensitivity, but I was born and raised here. This is where I grew up, and it doesn't get cold unless you're indoors. So heat sensitivity, what do you do if it's hot and you need to exercise? You don't give up. That's not an option. Cooling vests? Yes, cooling vests is a great plan. Whatever it is, you got to plan it, because if you live here and you plan on exercising, plan on it being hot. Dress in layers in the cool time of the year, which is, when it gets all the way down to the 60s. And you see all the people outside wearing fur coats. Yes, that is Miami for you. This is Miami. You know it's Miami in December when you see people in fur coats sweating. But you got to have fur coats. If you have fur coats, you got to take them out sometime, right? So 60 degrees, that's about the right weather here. The rest of what goes on down here comes from up north. Although this isn't the room from, how many people in here are just here for the season? Wow. So you guys are staying. This is incredible. Where I live right now, up in Delray, in about 2 weeks, it's going to be dead. Dead everywhere. Because everyone's going to be gone. The birds are going to be gone. The snowbirds are going to be gone. Everyone's going to be gone. Except for me. I'll be there. And it'll be hot. And what I do when I try to plan for the heat is, like I said, layer myself in clothing, a wet cloth, maybe help me out with my neck. If I don't have a cooling vest, I get a cloth and I put it in the freezer. I freeze it when it's a little bit damp. Then I put it on my neck after I'm done. I'm dripping wet, but it's cool. And people look at me like I'm crazy, and you know what I tell them? You're right. It's okay to be crazy as long as you do it in the right way. How many people in here want to start an exercise program and don't know how? Okay, how many people in here can stand up? So the rest of you are going to stay here for the next year, because I don't see that many chairs with wheels on them. So how many people in the room can stand up? Okay, I want everybody who didn't raise your hand to stand up. Now I want everybody that's able to stand up right now. And if you're sitting down, I want you to hold your hands up, so your hands are as high as their heads. And if they're close to you, you can push them a little bit. No, I'm just kidding, don't push them. Okay, so now you guys have stood up one more time than you've sat down. Now you can even it out and sit down. I just wanted to see how many people can stand up. However many people did stand up do have the ability to do squats. Did you guys ever believe that you could do a squat? How many people in here cannot do a squat? By show of hands. How many people in here have just raised their hands and also just sat down? None of you stood up that raised your hand that can't do a squat? If you can stand up, you can do a squat. If you can sit down, you can do a squat. And if you do it a bunch of times, you can do several squats. Push-ups are the equivalent of a squat for upper body. Push-ups, pull-ups, shoulder press type of thing. Squats are basically the ability to get up. You know, if you can't do that, then you got to work on it. And if you can't get up out of the chair that you're sitting in right now, how many people in here got their haircuts when they were little and they put phone books on the chairs? Well, if you can find a phone book today, put it on a chair. If you can't get up, do it from that height and then slowly lower it over a period of time. And then you got your ability to stand again at a lower level. But you got to work on it and you got to find a way. You can't just do the simple things and say, okay, I can't do that, I give up. There's always another way. You got to go around. You got to go this way. You got to go that way. But finding a way isn't that difficult. Looking for an excuse is easy, and it's an easy shortcut to failure. Who in here wants to fail? No. I don't see anybody raising your hands. Failure is okay as long as you learn from it. But if you choose to quit, it's the quickest shortcut to failure. And we don't want that to happen. So whatever it is that you're going to do for exercise, you give it your all with just a little bit less so you have room for an emergency need. If something happens, you can still take care of it. You don't want to use all your energy, but close to it. And on days that you're tired, adjust your workouts. Don't eliminate them. If you're too tired to get up, that's another story, but you can still stretch. You can still do flexibility exercises. You can still move a little bit. Just move a little bit more than you would have had you decide just not to exercise. You know, even if it's just moving your leg a little bit, moving your arm a little bit, doing something. But it's important to keep yourself active. And the more active you get, the more you'll enjoy life. The more you'll see, the more you'll do, the more you'll be able to talk about, and eventually you can take my spot up here and tell your story and tell what you've done over the past year. And I can tell you, I've been to a lot of states and a lot of cities in the past year. Stuart, myself, some other people with MS Fuse, we've traveled around the country. It's not easy, but it is fun. It's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun going from city to city to city and still having energy to do one more city. And that's the best part about it, is enjoying what you do. And if you train for it, sometimes you don't even realize you're training for it. I work with people all day long. I do stairs with them. I'm doing half their exercises I'm doing with them. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the day, then I have my own exercise routine, or I do it beforehand. But I do all this stuff so that tomorrow will be just as easy as today, if not easier. Who wants to have an easier time with life? More enjoyable at the same time. That's our goals, right? Life should be fun. Make it fun. If you don't make life fun, you can't count on someone next to you making it fun for you. You know, I enjoy every day I'm alive. You know why? I don't know anything else. Had I not, no, I mean, I really do everything to plan for what's to come, but I am about now. I think that it's so important that whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, give it your all. So I'm going to go back to the different types of exercise. When it comes to resistance exercise, you can do resistance exercise with bands, with medicine balls, with weights. When you think about traditional exercise, you think about someone in the gym with their back on a bench and doing a bench press or something along those lines. How many people in here have done bench press? How much can you bench? That's what people ask. Oh, you work out, how much can you bench? Enough, right? Because you know what that means? That means that when you're laying on your back, you can push the heaviest person off of you. Otherwise, you got no core involved. So I like doing stuff with bands in addition to bench pressing, because without something against your back, you're pushing, you're using your core to maintain your stability and an upright posture. I'm happy. How much do you do? I want to know exactly what you do. What do you do? You use rubber bands. What else do you do? You do push-ups. What else? And you go horseback riding. Anything else? You go swimming. Come on, keep it coming. I want to know everything. Everything you do. Okay, thank you very much. Now we know everything that you do. But he's telling us that because he's proud that he does all those things. Because when you do stuff, you have the ability to talk about what you've done. When you don't do anything, what do you have to talk about? What the other guy did, right? It's not as fun as talking about what you've done. And I've done a lot. Not as much as her. Yeah, her right in the back. Everybody look at her back there. She does more than I do, I'll tell you. Because when I go to sleep, she's still working. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what she does. In fact, I don't even know her. No, I'm just kidding. That's Jennifer in the back, and she's the wizard behind the scenes. That's why there's a curtain over there. She's just like the Wizard of Oz. So if you want to know how it started, first came Stuart, then came Jennifer. But MS Views and News has really come a long way when it comes to going to programs. I'm not the only one that does all the exercise. Stuart, believe it or not, he works his tail off so that he can do stuff tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. And there came a time where he did come to me and say, hey, what can I do to be able to do a little bit more? And I said, the key is doing a little bit more when you don't need to do a little bit more. So while everybody's doing their thing and you have some downtime, that's when you can exercise. Every day you've got time for it. Who here does not have time for exercise? Everybody has time for exercise, but when I asked everybody who exercised, not everybody raised their hand. So what's the problem?
I exercise every day.
I'm talking to everybody. I can't have everybody answer. So keep your questions and answers to yourself until the end of the program, and I'll get to you at that point. But everybody in here that has time to exercise and chooses not to, I don't want to hear about how tired you are when you get tired. Nobody does. Because if you're not willing to work on it, why should other people care? That's what it comes down to. Do you want to be an asset? A participant? Do you want to watch the good things that happen in life and be a part of them? Or do you just want to sit back and hear about it? It's much more enjoyable to do. That's what you need to want. And then the more you want it, the easier it becomes. And habits. Habits can be good habits and habits can be bad habits. Either way, they're hard to break. So make exercise a habit. Make eating healthy a habit. You know, if somebody put a plate of bad food, what? I don't know what this means. Were you in here when everybody stood up and raised their hands? Okay, they just sat down. Okay. How many people in here want to get up and exercise right now? Okay, so stand up. Everybody if you don't want to do it, that's okay, but when it comes time to need some more energy, don't ask your neighbor for it. They're not going to give it to you. All right, so just move around a little bit. Move your legs a little bit. How many people here sit down for more than a half an hour at a time at a computer during the day? How about an hour? How about an hour and a half without getting up? Okay, all of you that said yes, I suspect that you're dehydrated. You guys can sit down now. I suspect you're dehydrated, and hydration is important. If you don't drink water, you're not going to live long. Water is key. You need water. You're mostly made of water. If you don't drink it, what's going to happen? You're not going to feel well. You're not going to have energy. You're not going to have a lot of liquid that's moving through your body to allow nutrients to get to where they need to be. How many of you guys that are in here would like to wake up tomorrow and have more energy than you've had in 10 years? I'm seeing a lot of hands being raised. What are you going to do about it?
Exercise.
When?
Every day.
No, every time you're able to do it, give it a shot. Exercise doesn't have to be moving big weights, doesn't have to be doing that kind of stuff. It can be fun. And I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Anybody want to volunteer? Because I'll call you up if you don't. Would you like to come up? Can I be seen if I go in front of there? Okay, you can just come right up in front of here. But first, before, it's okay, you can come even closer. At the camera, do you mind being video recorded? No. Okay. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Can you hold this?
Yes.
Just throw it at the ground. Straight at the ground, right like by your feet. Now pick it up. There you go. Do that 2 more times. I want everybody to see that. Okay. Now let me see it. Now throw that at the ground. You like that better? Were you able to do the other one?
Yeah.
Then you should like it better because it means you're stronger. Here, let me see that.
Easier.
Now here, take this one. This one's a little bit heavier. I'm just kidding. But that's harder to catch when it's light like that. Here, catch it. See? But that takes hand-eye coordination. That's a component of exercise. Working on hand-eye coordination. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce it. I want you to look forward, and then when it bounces, I want you to react, stand up, and catch it. Okay? We've been working on this. Don't worry. So when you hear the bounce, look around for it. All right. High five. Okay. Have a seat again. See, she's doing stuff while she's seated. Here, take this ball. Now just throw it up in the air and catch it. I gave her that one because it's 3 pounds and this one doesn't weigh anything. It's a lot easier to do it with this one. No, I'm just kidding. Simple things like these. You know how much this costs?
$1.
I don't know. I stole it. I was going to check and see, but I was in a hurry, and Stuart called me and said to come up here quick. Yeah, I guess I owe some store. I'm going to have to steal a pair of glasses to see what it costs. I'm just kidding. I didn't steal it. My daughter did. Okay, here, take this. Just put that under your foot.
Just like that?
Other way, turn it over. There you go. Now slide your foot back and forth.
Oh, wow.
You see that?
Yeah.
Now do that 10,000 times and you'll lose a lot of weight. No, I'm just kidding. 9,000 will do it. Something like that's simple, inexpensive. You can get it just about any type of Walmart or office supply store. It's a furniture mover. I use it for airplanes when I fly long distances and I want to move my legs around. I just go slide forward and back, left, side to side, and it gets my hips loosened up. Yes? What's it good for? It's good for loosening up. It's good for movement.
Is it good for balance?
If you're sitting, no. But if you're standing, yeah, it's good for balance. Here, let me see it. Are you having, then you have problems with stability, not balance. Balance is doing this. How often do you have to do that? Do you ever have to do that outside of the doctor's office? Only when you're standing on stage? This is more important. Stability. If you're more stable, then balance is not going to be an issue because you're not going to be thinking about it as balance. You think of balance as being wobbly and not steady, which is okay. You can work on that, but usually that's vestibular or it's coming from inside. Hold that a second. I want you to stand up and put it on the ground. Now stand out with one foot. Yeah, hold my arms with
Okay.
Now slide that to the side a little bit. So you wanted to know how that can help balance? Well, now she's actually working on balance because she's supporting herself with one leg. The other leg is just going for a slide. Okay, you can stop. Is your left leg your good leg?
Yes, right.
Okay, now it is. All right, thank you very much. You can sit down, have a seat. Thank you. So what your question was about balance. How can this be used for balance? Yes, you can put it on the ground. Can you guys see from there? Just imagine you can. If not, I'll hop over. Doing this. Can you guys see in the back? Yeah. So you can use this one leg, and then eventually, if you wanted to have good balance, just to say, hey, look at my balance. Or if you plan on hopping to wherever you're going, it's not going to happen. But then you can do a little bit of this, and eventually it becomes like a single-legged squat. Because we do go from foot to foot when we walk, so we do have to have some balance, but stability is key. We want to be stable. Not just physically, but mentally, right? I can't help you with that, though. So working out with bands, Who in here wants to see what the bands are like? Not all at once. Okay, come on up then. Okay, so while he's on his way up, I'm going to talk about bands a little bit. Bands are progressive resistance. So that means the more you press and the further you go with it, the harder it becomes. Same thing when you're pulling. Pulling's a little bit easier than pushing, but if your feet are your ground base of support, you're working your core all the time. So when you're at the gym and you're locked into a machine, you're not getting any stability. You're not getting any support. You're not working on your core. Core is very important. You got it. You're going to get center stage in a second.
Okay. I'm coming.
So with bands, while you're standing, you can go on a horizontal plane rather than a vertical plane, and you can go forward, back. You can work on the sides. But the key is, the key is that you try to do as much as you can on your feet. And if you're seated, then your base of support is your butt and up, and that's where your core is worked. You can still work on your core while you're in a chair.
That's what he does.
We got you. Once you're up here, then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you can answer them all.
Okay.
So what I brought here is the heaviest band that I have. That's a single band, and the lightest band I have. That way you can see where it's coming from. And I'm going to hop down there and help him out in a second. Do you mind being video recorded? Here you go. That's a 3-pound medicine ball. How do you like that?
Good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay, here, try this one. Whoa, whoa. A lot easier, right? Now throw that in the ground. Throw it to me. Can you catch it there? See, you're working your core. You see how you didn't fall out of the chair? Everybody knows what he just did? When he caught it, his body went this way and he recovered. You know what made him recover? His core strength. So he's been training his core for, how old are you? 37 years. 38 years.
He's inverting the numbers.
Okay, well, it's all right.
I'm 74.
Okay, I'm 27.
Oh, good.
Yeah, since yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. So actually, I'm 28 now.
I'm 13.
Okay, so what I want you to do is try the slider that I just had. Just put your foot on it and slide it forward and back. Now you're moving your leg twice as much as you were before, right? And now so I want you to feel this band. Just pull. And let it come forward. And pull. And let it come forward. Pretty easy, right? You're too strong for that, right? So this is the lightest of the bands that I use. Let go, please. Thank you. And this is the heavier one. A little bit heavy, right?
Nah, that's fine. I do that every day.
You do this every day.
Every day.
All right. So that's the difference in the two bands. So if you had one of these and you had it under your desk and you're sitting down, you're using a slider going back and forth, you're working twice as much. Well, thank you for coming up. Now you see what I'm doing up here. It's work, right? You got to be active. You got to do stuff. You want results? You got to work for results.
Look what I do.
You do 4?
No. I go horseback riding.
You go. Yeah, you've told me you go horseback riding. You've got like 10 things you do, and this is what you do in your downtime. So you're ahead of the game. And if you weren't doing all that stuff, you'd be way behind. I can't have you come in front of the cameras.
I'm sorry. I just wanted.
I'm going to help him off of this area right now. So those were some of the things that somebody who has some difficulty walking can do that I have showed everybody. So if he can do it, everybody in here can do it. He wants to do it. The goal is to want it more. If you don't want it enough, you're not going to have that to go after it. And you're going to look for excuses. if you want it more and you want to know how certain people are doing things, follow their actions. How many people in here watch sports? Come on, anybody in here sports fans? Come on, I can do this. I was raised here. You ever wonder how these athletes have these great games? How many people in here were around when Michael Jordan was playing? Do you think that he just woke up and went to the basketball court and was phenomenal? No, he was cut from his 8th grade team. And I guarantee you the most work he ever put into basketball probably came between 8th and 9th grade because he wanted it. So not only did he succeed, but he succeeded and he became the very best. And that's a product of hard work. And you see these players that are on television in whatever sport it is, you don't realize what they go through when you're not watching them. They're usually the first one to the arena, to the practice field, and the last ones to leave. Same thing when it comes to business success or any kind of success. The people that work the hardest get the best results. And if you want those results, dig deep. And if you can't get them when you dig deep, then you got to dig a little bit deeper and find what it is that's going to work for you. And once you got it, build on it. That's the same thing as exercise. You take something simple, you make it a little bit more difficult, you progress and progress and progress until something that's extremely difficult becomes extremely easy. And that's what I tell everybody that works with me, that the very first session when we're doing assessments and I'm seeing how many squats or how many push-ups or all these different things that they do, I tell them in a few months you're going to look back and you're going to be amazed. Because 10 minutes into our workout, you will have finished more exercises and done more activity than you did the whole first session. So does anybody have any questions right now? Okay, hang on one second. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Which cardiovascular exercise do you recommend?
Okay, cardiovascular exercise, which I did tell you I was going to tell you the difference between cardiovascular and aerobic. First, I'm going to give you a quick explanation of the difference. They're both under the same realm. Aerobic exercise is just within using the presence of oxygen, and cardiovascular exercise is working your heart. So in order to do that, you have to get your heart rate up to a range for at least 20 minutes consecutively. And that becomes cardiovascular. What's the best one? Whatever you'll do. Whatever you do that can get your heart rate up using large muscles. Because if I told you one thing, it might be what's best for you, but this person over here might not be able to do it. So it's just movement. Move at a higher intensity for a long period of time. Any other questions?
How many sections before I can walk straight?
I'm gonna have to get you in the ring for that one, Willie. I'm gonna get you in the ring and I'm gonna give you gloves and I'm not gonna wear gloves. And we're just gonna go at it. Because I hear that from him every week. But that guy, let me tell you, who just asked that question, we work out together once a week and his face turns as red as a tomato from the effort that he puts in to doing things that at one time he told me, no, I can't do it. Now he does it. And now he does it and brags about it too. Okay, next question.
Exercises for back pain. Pain at your waist level. That type of pain.
That's a very, very, very vague question. But I'll tell you what, I can't tell you what's going to fix a problem that you're having because it's an individual issue and I don't know how the problem started, what's causing it, or what your doctors are saying that it is.
This happens to many people.
Well, if it's age, you know what the best thing to do is? Prevention. Don't age. Move more, work core. Core is the key to back pain. Strong abs, strong back muscles, strong lateral muscles, so that way your core is strong and it's like a weight belt.
Okay. Sorry. I just got osteoarthritis, okay?
Congratulations.
That's not funny. And I've fallen already like 5 times, you know, and what do I do? What do I do for balance? That's what I was talking about, the balance.
Let me see what kind of cane you use.
She's a walker.
You use a walker? Do you use the walker when you fall?
Like, let's say I'm going to open the door of my house and I let go of the thing and then I just fall.
Okay, so what you're going to probably need to do is practice that. Go back to the things that have made you fall, work them in your mind, and if opening a door is dangerous for you, then get into a position that's proper and practice. Do it like 10 times in a row until you perfect it. And keep doing those kinds of things, because if you're able to do it without falling, figure out how that was compared to the time you fell. You might be doing something wrong, you might be changing something, but preparation. Any other questions?
Perhaps you want to address pelvic floor muscle exercises?
I mean, like Kegel exercises and that type of stuff are great. I don't get into that because I'm not in physical therapy, so I don't work with that unless I'm working hand in hand with the therapist. But it's important to do Kegel exercises. How many people in here do them? Whoever's not raising your hand should be, because they're very important. And with bladder issues, they do strengthen your bladder. There's muscles there that get stronger, and if they're weak, the obvious can happen. If they're strong, then you're going to be able to hold your bladder a lot better, and that is an issue with MS.
What do you think about water exercises?
I think they're wet. I think they're phenomenal. If you have trouble walking and you have a partner or someone that can help you in and out of the water and while you're in the water, water exercises are phenomenal because they're not as bad on joints. It's easier to move. Weight's not an issue. And you know, the temperature is also a lot easier to work with. But when it does come to water exercises, you really want to make sure that you are hydrated, even though you're in the water and not thinking about it, because in the water is when you can come up with problems with dehydration, because we're already dehydrated. And if you're not hydrated, you are in trouble. And if you have bladder problems and you exercise and you think that not drinking beforehand is going to help your bladder, think again. That's a really bad way of dealing with that issue. Talk to your doctor about it, because being dehydrated going into exercise, you know, that's like going into a fire with a match. You know, it's not going to do you any good.
Well, let's thank Jeff for being here today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay, so again, thank you for being here today. Thank you for supporting MS Views and News, for all that we do. Thank you. Have a great day. Drive carefully.
Thank you.